Welcome in the tent and to the event Religion and Queer Wellbeing. Before I hand over and give the word to Andreas, I would like to say that this event is live streamed, and welcome to the viewers from home. If you want to ask a question to the event and from home, you can write your question just beneath the screen. And in the tent, of course, you just raise your hand. As I am informed, the question will be in the end of the event. The word is yours.
Thank you. Hey everyone, both here in the tent and out in the world. My name is Andreas, and I have the honor to present the 3 activists from the Bridges of Love Alliance, an East African Kenyan alliance with LGBTIQ members working closely with religious leaders to both provide space for religious LGBTIQ persons in East Africa, but also to get the support from pastors and preachers to talk their agenda. I'm from ActionAid, known in Denmark as Mellemfolkeligt Samvirke, and I'm working with organizing, supporting youth social movements globally as part of my everyday work, and I have the huge honor to be part of supporting these amazing people. We have Sylvia Atieno. She's a queer activist that is part of the Alliance. Hey Sylvia. She's a digital strategist and passionate about LGBTIQ activism, a vocalist, and a very proud mom of a 7-year-old boy. Welcome, Sylvia. We have Benjamin Wambua. He's an LGBTIQ activist and a creative being. He enjoys doing his part in confronting oppression in all its different forms. His different creative outlooks brings him balance and fulfillment in his life. Hey, Benjamin. And Pastor Grace. She's a preacher with the Presbyterian Church in Kenya and an ally to the Bridges of Love Alliance. She loves reading and nice pen, and she spends time encouraging people whose hearts have been broken. She does not like seeing people mistreating animals or polluting rivers and oceans. And we'll have the honor of having them join us for the next 90 minutes. We have some questions for them first, and after that there will be room for all of you here and online to ask them anything you want. So some questions for them, and then afterwards the floor is yours to ask them questions. First off, we have a short video to introduce the Bridges of Love Alliance to all of you. Could we please get the video on?
Why should we talk about this issue about sexual minority?
This space and this event was supposed to come up with ways in which we can make churches and religious spaces and religious leaders become more safe spaces where LGBTQ people can go to seek solace.
The reason why we chose to pick religious leaders is because in Kenya, especially, religious leaders are second to God.
We advocate for the human rights of the gender and sexual minorities, and we advocate for social inclusion so that everybody will be accepted in the society for whom they are, irrespective of their race, creed, gender, so that everybody is looked at as a human being.
Being a parent of an LGBTI person who has come out, and also being a parent who has accepted their child coming out, has been a long walk for all of us.
It is good to understand some things and the background so that we don't just stand up and condemn and criminalize and say and act just out of what we don't know.
Me growing up, I really hated being in church because of what the pastors used to preach about being gay, being different. We couldn't even have opportunities to be in church.
If we don't dialogue and our members are in trouble, isn't it? What do we do as pastors? Because at the end of the day, possibly we'll be having no members in our church.
To know that our children suffer from stigmatization in so many different aspects. Some don't get education, courtesy of us parents. some of them do not have access to healthcare.
Religion is founded by love, and in love, people feel safe.
Religion is not about segregating and marginalizing. Religion is about giving hope. Religion is about love. Religion is about this love story between God and man and woman.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity that they gave us to host this event here. I'm grateful for both ActionAid and Global Platform Kenya.
So, we have the honor for the next 45 minutes to hear from each of these amazing persons about their engagement in the Bridges of Love Alliance that you just saw a bit about. The video here was created by the Nature Network, an Ugandan LGBTIQ refugee group living in Kenya, working with the Bridges of Love to create this video. And we'll talk to each of the activists here in turn because of the connection. We have some prepared questions for them, and afterwards we'll take your questions. But please, out there in the world and in here in the tent, if you have questions during the talk, just write them in the chat and we'll take them when we finished our prepared questions for the amazing people. Okay, can we get them on screen? So, first off, we have questions around religion in Africa, East Africa and Kenya in particular, to get an understanding of why we've chosen to work together with religious leaders and how important religion is. Pastor Grace, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
And yes, there was your video also. Perfect. Welcome. Pleasure to have you. Are you ready for some questions?
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about how important religion is in an African context, specifically in a Kenyan context, to make us understand here in Denmark what the context is?
Thank you so much for such a great question. And first of all, I want to thank the Lord for giving me an opportunity to be with you today. I'm just so excited. Let me give you a short history of 3 minutes about the religion in Africa. Before Christianity and Islam came, Africa had their own religion. So every tribe had their own God who could give them rain, who could heal them, who could do so many other miracles. Even if they are going to war or being attacked by people, they had their own God. But during now about 1800, 17th century, when the Europeans came to Africa, they found our gods cannot be understood. For example, we had witches, people who can even talk bad about other people. They were replaced with guns. They found that we had so many gods and they wanted us to have one God. So we ended up having Christian religion. And when Christianity came to Africa, it came to do a bit of a revolution, because anybody who became a Christian, they enjoyed the privileges of going to school. They became educated. They were also able to access healthy facilities because Christianity came with medical hospitals, Dr. Ada and the rest. Explorers also came with the teachers, and they also came with theologians. So people who were educated. So to become a religious person in the first place in Africa, it's prestige. You are going to another level because you went to the best schools, Alliance High School, Alliance Girls. So you became educated. So religion in Africa came with very good things. Leave alone evangelization alone. Also, the education and medicine came in because we used to use herbs with our gods and also seers to tell us why we are becoming sick. But here comes somebody telling us you are sick because you ate a lot of food or something. So religion came with very good things. Islam also came with very good things, even if they came because of political affiliations and also they were running away from war in other countries. They also came with spices and they also came with languages like Kiswahili. So when religion came, it had very good things. Then we grew with it and God became one and we joined Christianity. And here comes, they came with the Bible and the Quran. And here comes an African for thousands and thousands of years. They have never understood what a Bible is. So it became a forest which is so scaring. So instead of us taking Christianity in a positive way, somehow it came with good things, but we were not able to study the Bible well. So we looked at the scriptures literally. If the scripture says you give birth and fill the world, Africans we ran and we gave birth to 20 children, of which we could not take care of them. We could hear we came from the rib of a man, so we should submit. We just took that one literally. And we ended up suppressing women and their work. So it didn't work well for us. We also could read some scriptures that could say Saul was rejected by God because he didn't wipe a certain community, Amalekites. So we went now fighting and becoming the tribes fighting each other because we could read the Bible literally. So even if religion came with its good things, it came with the challenges because us, we were never trained properly. Because when we look at the Bible itself, we are not supposed to read the Bible literally because we are supposed also to bring in critical thinking and also bring the elements of critical faculties in what we read about God so that we can understand God better. But here the Bible came, it was dropped on our table with no theological background, and we started reading the Bible literally. And that's why we went and said, oh, Sodom and Gomorrah, and we started now fighting the gay, homosexual people. So the community. So what I'm saying, religion in Africa came with very good things, but at some point, evangelization was never done well because people were never taught. When you read the Bible, you don't read it literally. You bring in some thinking inside. Look at the text and ask God, if I look at this text, what does God want to show me? What is God telling me about people? We ended up now having religion, which is fighting people and also bringing other genders down. So somehow Africa religion is good because, for example, like Kenya, 90% people are Christian. 10%, the rest is almost 9% is Islam. But you see, when you look at all those texts, somehow they are read literally and they tend to bring people down. So the prestige which came with the Christianity somehow became pain for very many people. But I thank God for Action Aid and especially global platform. They started now bringing the religious people and the queer community, and in that process, many pastors are able now to understand everyone is God's creation. And some of the texts that said this are not supposed to be read literally. We are supposed to bring the critical thinking inside so that we can love everybody. Because when you go through all the texts, God and Jesus Christ is all about love. But when we read the things that when you steal, your eye should be removed, I think we are not applying critical thinking in the scriptures well. So religion came with prestige and we thank God God was one and Jesus loved everybody. But when it came here, some things were not there, some gaps were not there. But thank God for Action Aid. We are able now to bring the queer community and the Christian and the religious leaders. You can see from the video, now the gap is becoming closer. I wish they can continue with the programs because we are able to bring in very many pastors and they are able to be enlightened. Because it's a bit expensive also for queer communities hard to be admitted in theological, Christian theological universities in Kenya and especially in Africa because of discrimination. But when we bring in organizations like Action Aid, they are able to bring on board everyone without discrimination. And here, when we work together, we do business together, and we get assisted together, we are able to understand each other better. And when we go back to the churches and the parishes and the mosques, we are able now to tell people, oh my, this is God's creation. We read the Bible badly. I wish we can bring in critical thinking in the scriptures so that we can love everyone.
Thank you. And maybe you could enlighten us a bit about how religion actually affects the queer life, the queer community. Because when you talk about the importance of religion in an African and Kenyan context, it seems, at least for me and maybe others here in Denmark, a bit difficult to understand why, if you are so oppressed by some believers, you still want to reach for a religious attachment. Could you try to make us understand how religion is both in a positive and negative way affects queer lives?
Thank you so much for that question. In Africa and especially in Kenya, religion is not good for queer community. Mostly, especially in churches, because the Bible and religion is done on literal reading. The queer community is going through a very hard time, and especially rejection, because most of the pastors who have never come to such a platform like Action Aid, when they are preaching, we are always talking about the queer community as sinners, and they are not going to heaven. And you know the world is collapsing because they are marrying the same sex. So somehow it's not a place of security for the queer community. They are getting a lot of problems there. So mostly when we are reaching to them, it's like we are hiding or in secret. You are trying to help them and counsel them. But when it comes now to the altar and coming out clearly and saying, this is who I am, I'm God's creation, they are never given an opportunity to do that. So it's a very big challenge, especially in churches, in mosques, and unless the very few of us who have been trained through Action Aid, we are able to give the queer community something in the liturgy so that they can present. Let me tell you, queer community is God's creation. I wish you can just hear their music. You can just hear them reciting prayers. They have great attributes. I wish pastors can just open up and give them freedom and just love them as God's creation and let them serve God who called them. But that does not happen. There are restrictions, especially when you just say, oh, I'm queer and I want to present a song. It's not allowed. So somehow religion restricts queer community. But now we can't do without it because being a religious person in Africa is prestigious. It's like even you are making policies in the government. As a pastor, you are very powerful. Here in Kenya, even the head of anti-corruption is an archbishop. Even today, I was reading the papers. Many pastors were visiting the deputy president. So when you are religious, you have an upper hand. You are privileged. But now, when it comes to churches, they are always talking about queer community as sinners because they are going back to the text, read them badly, and just do literally what is supposed to do without bringing in critical thinking.
Thank you. And a last question for you for this round of questions. How and why are religious leaders and the LGBTIQ allies working together? How is this working? What are you supporting with doing for the Alliance in your role as a pastor, as an ally?
Thank you so much for that question. I thank God I came back. I came to Alliance and especially joined the community. One, even when I was coming in, I was not exposed the way I am now. So coming to Alliance, I've gotten a lot of exposure. I've understood the community. I've loved their attributes. I've seen there is no difference between the people who call themselves straight and the community. Because when they are given songs, the liturgy and everything, they are able to do so well. So that one has assisted me that when I went back to the parish, I've made very good sermons trying to educate my congregation that queer community, they are God's creation and they should be given a room in the church so that they can serve God better. I've also made collaborations and I'm glad we, like right now we are doing businesses with them. Once you listen about the ideas about how they do business, these people are so sharp and I've learned so much from the community. And also I thank God for Action Aid, even during the COVID-19. They acted like Jesus. They were able even to assist everyone, regardless pastors and other people. They were able to give us food, to send us airtime, and also to every Saturday they are calling us to know how we are. This is all what Jesus did. I wish pastors could, in Africa, could just get enlightened and read the Bible in a critical way, because interpretation is where the problem is. It's no problem with queer community. They are just so disciplined and good-hearted. I've learned so much from the community.
Thank you so much for those answers. If you have any more questions for Pastor Grace, please write them in the chat and we'll take them afterwards. But for now, we'll jump to Sylvia from the Bridges of Love, an activist in the Bridges of Love Alliance. Sylvia, are you with us? Hey, there you are. Now you're on the big screen here in the tent. Good to see you. Are you ready for some questions?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. Can you tell us a bit more about the Bridges of Love Alliance and why it's so important for the LGBTIQs in Kenya in particular, but also Uganda and Tanzania?
Okay, so the Bridges of Love Alliance is based on one common factor, which is love. It's an alliance between religious leaders. We have queer activists and we have allies. And when I say religious leaders, I mean the Christian leaders and also the Islam leaders. So religion is a very big factor in Kenya. Religion, ever since the whole, the African setup and until now, religion is such a big factor and it holds a very big voice in the African setup. And so we realized that for us to be able to hold conversations where we are treated as human beings, we have access to basic rights, where society accepts us as individuals in the queer community, we would have to break the barriers that religion holds. Because so many people say, oh, queer folks, this is not following God's word, this is not what religion talks about, this is wrong, you're not supposed to have same-sex relations. And so we end up having so much discrimination when it comes to the church. And so we saw the need to come together as queer activists and religious leaders and allies and sort of change how the LGBTQ plus community is perceived and so that we can aid towards the journey of acceptance in the community as human beings. We have been in operation for 4 years, and we have members from both Nairobi and Mombasa. And so we usually, when we have physical trainings, the members from Mombasa usually come to Nairobi and we hold the trainings together. And recently, when the whole COVID-19 situation, the pandemic started, we sort of established our presence on the digital platform, and we are now available on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And so we usually hold various activities there as an alliance, just to basically share and talk about what we do and the need for what we do, why it is very important, and yes.
And now that you mentioned social media, could you maybe also just quickly tell us what we can find the Bridges of Love Alliance under on all the different platforms?
Oh, okay, so it's Bridges of Love Alliance on Facebook and Instagram, and it is Bridges of Love A on Twitter.
Perfect. And everybody watching out there, please go and like the Facebook page and join in on the Twitter and Instagrams. For the next question, so how does this work? Religious leaders and activists together. What do you actually do? What kind of activities are turned outwards?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. It's very important because we basically break down who we are as an alliance. So we are one big family, but so that we are able to have and hear everybody's opinions, we have broken down, we are divided into small families, which usually consist of 5 to 7 to 8 members. And so we have small families, and we usually come together with one voice. So in these families, we usually discuss different things. We share ideas on the activities that we'd like to do, and then we come and discuss them as one family. We have participated in several things. One of the things that I pride ourselves in, and that actually gives us the ability to do, is that we are able to build our capacity. So we have several trainings. We have trainings on self-defense. We have training on the organizing, how to properly organize. We have also trainings on how to understand each other, because it's a very unique characteristic that we have, and we are from all different, we have different mindsets when we came. And so these trainings are usually very important so that we learn how to relate with one another. Understanding that there's been a bit of hostility that the church has had towards the LGBTQ plus community. And so the need for trainings on how to relate with one another are very important. We also don't stop in the alliance. We go outside, and we are very big on partnerships, because this increases the awareness of the alliance, and also organizing is not organizing if you do not do it with people outside the set group or community that you have. And so those are some of the things we do. We also participate in work. We do that. During this COVID period, we have been very heavy on our social media, just basically giving advice on people to stay safe during this period. We have different themes. And so we have a mental health Monday. We have an awareness Wednesday where we give facts on COVID. We have a fitness Friday where we talk about how to keep fit, especially during this time. Most people have been working from home, and so there's that space where you just relax and you stop keeping fit. So we have been very big on, we share yoga, the importance of yoga and different fitness methods, the importance of drinking water, something as simple as drinking water to stay healthy. On Saturday, we have the Self-Care Saturday, and so we talk about different ways of self-care. What new music have you had during this week that uplifted you? What new movies did you watch during this week that uplifted you? Are you appreciating yourself? And so those are the different things that we do as an alliance. And it uplifts us and also uplifts other people who see our work. And so we have also, once we entered the virtual space, because we could not physically meet, we also had very many festivals that we did online. And so these are just some of the things that we do as an alliance, and we really enjoy them. The members really enjoy them. The people who partner with us really enjoy it, and we love what we do.
Thank you for that very honest and great answer. A last question for you. What are you most proud of having achieved through the Alliance here?
Wow, there's been so many nice things that we've done. We pride ourselves in actually being the first alliance of this kind in Kenya, an alliance that is formed by queer activists and religious leaders. This is the first of its kind, and we are very proud of that. And so we have managed to develop a safety toolkit. And this is where we break down terms and information on the queer community. We go back to all the way where religion started and how religion has been very hostile to people in the queer community, and we move to show the advancement of basically religion. And so we also share testimonials on people who probably fled the church, queer folk who fled the church because the church was not accepting of who they are. Some people even share about how they enjoyed singing in the church, but the church was not willing to accommodate them. So we share things like that. So we're able to give a very honest perspective on really how religion and the queer community has related. And even there we share testimonials of religious leaders who were very not willing and the views they had on the LGBTI plus community. And so we also talk about, we share terms that are important to know. We talk about soji, we talk about simple terms as gay, bisexual, some of these things people really don't understand what that is. And so in the safety toolkit, we share that. And so we also share insights on organizing with religious leaders as queer activists. So that's one of the things that we have prided ourselves in having to do. We have also had virtual festivals on iDouble, which is the International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Transphobia. We had a virtual festival where we had people sharing poems. We had the network with their healing dance. We had people singing. We had brunch with myself, and I shared a very nice delicacy, a simple one that people can do. And so simple things like this, people really enjoy and get the feel of family. We also had a virtual festival on Pride Month, and so we had the religious leaders sharing some words. We had yoga. We had a yoga session. We had a session where we enjoyed some gospel music. We had members who are outside of the alliance, so we partnered with people who are outside of the alliance who believe in what we are doing, and so that gave us some visibility. We also have a Sermon Sunday segment, which is recently introduced, and religious leaders go live on our Facebook page on Sunday, and they share a word with us, a word of hope, a word of inspiration for us just to start the week. Also on Friday, in regards to the religious leaders, we have our Islam leaders who come and share with us a teaching in regards to Islam. We had a very insightful teaching on Islam and human rights by one of the Islam leaders in the Alliance, and it was very insightful. So many people streamed live on our Facebook page and really enjoyed that. And also in regards to the court case, the petition, we participated in gathering evidence, and we even stood witness to the fact that the petition has is heavily supported in very many religious circles. The case was rejected, but the fight continues, and we continue to fight to ensure that basic human rights are accessible to queer persons in Kenya. And of course, we realize that our agenda is much bigger than that, because we want queer persons to be given the love that and the respect that we deserve as human beings. And so those are just a few of the many activities that we do as an alliance, and we pride ourselves in.
Thank you so much for the great answers. Again, if you have questions out there, please write them in the chat, and we'll take them after hearing a bit from Wambua. Are you also out there?
Yes, I am.
Perfect. There you are. Welcome. So I have a hard question for you to start off with. What are the biggest challenge in working together as an alliance?
Okay, so the Religious Love Alliance, which is a collaboration between religious leaders and activists, is a very unique entity because it has two sides that, as per societal norms, should be warring, but here we are together. And just like any other organization, there is bound to be challenges, friction when working. When trying to accomplish projects, there are setbacks. So I'm going to take you guys through what we've been able to encounter. The first one would be the myths and misconceptions of the LGBTIQ plus community, especially in Kenya, where it is considered to be taboo and something that is not Kenyan at all. So the fact that it is the queer community is disintegrated from the mainstream means that the people, the religious leaders coming on board, some of them might not be so up with information regarding queerness, and that necessitates learning, unlearning, and relearning. And sometimes someone's feelings and principles can feel attacked. And this is a double-edged sword. Yes, it brings about conflict, but then it gives an opportunity to learn and also understand each other, and we can be able to understand each other's personality, each other's identity, and we can be able to interact better in the future. So moving on to another challenge is that sometimes, in some cases, there is lack of substantial rapport between members of the alliance, between maybe the LGBTIQ plus activists and religious leaders, because we come from, I'd say, different worlds, and how things work in different worlds are different, certainly. And that's the lack of rapport, maybe people haven't gelled in so well, creates individualism as opposed to teamwork, whereby one feels like, okay, I don't understand this individual so well, so maybe I'm going to pull back and observe or just try to put my efforts elsewhere. That jeopardizes the teamwork, because of course we should be able to gel together and be able to work towards the same goal. So another challenge that we have are instances of homophobia, such as the case of Repeal 162 and 165. This was really the society against the LGBTIQ plus community, because our allies were very few, and the religious leaders led by, not the ones in our alliance, but outside, led by the Kenya Christian Professionals Network, were very anti the liberation of gay people, the bringing down of the anti-homosexuality laws. And as much as we have these religious leaders as allies, as people who've grown up with religion being used against us, sometimes you might feel like, are you really in my team, or what's really going on here? And also regarding how people have been antagonized by religion, sometimes it's hard to sit down with religious leaders and, forge positivity regarding our principles in the alliance, because these are people who told us before, not necessarily the ones in our alliance, but growing up, we are not acceptable, we are not accepted, we are evil. So it's hard to now buy this idea that we're going to be together. So there remains a desire for more training and step-down activities, both in terms of number and magnitude. However, this is curtailed by the finances available. We wish that we had more trainings, we wish that we had more step-down activities, but of course, money is scarce everywhere. So the finances to support this are curtailed. So we wish this is a challenge that we encounter, because if we had more step-down activities, more trainings, we would have more skills, and we would have leverage economically, politically, and socially. Yes, because we can also be able to undertake more projects. But still now we're doing a project we're being funded for entrepreneurship activities. Now, if maybe those were able to be done more, maybe we'd be ahead. We also have an issue when it comes to lack of adequate physical contact in the community, especially during this time. So I think I'll get that in another topic. It's a topic. So those are the challenges that we've faced. We've been able to grow from the challenges and learn each other and use these challenges for future free friends, and how we will be able to deal with things and how we can grow as an alliance, both in numbers, in terms of what we do. And yeah, challenges that are very expected when two or more people come together, and now we have tens of people. So certainly this is going to be a challenge. So those are the challenges we've been going through. We're going to encounter more in the future, but we are very ready for them, and we'll be able to rise above them.
Thank you for that very honest answer. Thank you so much. I expect that, you'll get another difficult one. I can see that there's already plenty of challenges facing you, and now there's the corona, the COVID-19 on top of all this. How are you handling this? Are you still doing activities, working together to change Kenya?
All right, so COVID-19 resulted in the need for physical distancing, people losing jobs, businesses closing down, and many others. And physical contact is very important in the queer community and in our alliance that has queer people and religious leaders. When we get together, we are able to share in our warmth, share our challenges, and we can learn from each other, and as well realize that we are not alone. Now, when there's no physical contact, we are left with digital platforms. Yes, they do their work, but still, the lack of physical contact is a challenge, and we've been able to deal with it by capitalizing on our online platforms such as Zoom. We have weekly meetings where we check in, we tell each other how our weeks have been so far, what projects are we going to be doing. If we are going to be having festivals, we are able to pass the information there. And in case the global platform has anything to say to us, we can be able to meet there. So we meet every Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. If there is need for any more meetings, space trainings, we also go on there and we get together. Maybe it's not the same as when it's physical, but still we get to interact. We are socially close, but physically distant. Then, so during our Zoom check-ins, we share our physical, emotional, and psychological well-being. Social media has been able to allow us to share uplifting messages, to deal with the new normal. We have our social media pages, like Sylvia shared. These ones, we're able to, put forward different challenges that people face, and we can be able to discuss them and know the way forward, as well as share self-care tips, how to deal with COVID-19, and how to stay sane during this time, and taking into account the need for mental health awareness. And so we use Zoom, social media sites to stay close. We also have devised online activities like I touched on, which present opportunities for interaction, learning, and education. We've had our online festival on 27th of July. There were different artists performing from our alliance as well as other queer artists. So we were able to appreciate their art and learn from their art as well and be entertained. We've also had the Idaho International Day Against Homophobia, Bisexual, and Idaho Peace Celebration. We also had a yoga session, a prayer session, to just come together and celebrate a day that is against discrimination for queer people. We've also had a mental health Twitter chat, which brought us together on Twitter, and we were able to discuss how to deal with mental health, and especially in light of this time when we are distant, opportunities are far in between. We've also been able to have a HIV/AIDS webinar to foster understanding of something that affects people in our community. And yeah, so we've been able to utilize our digital platforms, as well as the Alliance members from Mombasa have sought practical solutions for flattening the curve that is bringing down the number of people who are being affected by COVID-19. They've been able to establish makeshift washing apparatus for the community members there. And when they're doing this, they're doing it as an alliance, and they're able to sell our agenda, which is love and, humanity. So there's also that, which is very, very hands-on. And also the religious leaders have been able to come together, and also queer activists come together and reach out to the people who have been really affected by this situation by giving foodstuffs and other kinds of resources. So those are some of the ways we've been coping with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, it sounds tough, but like you're trying to handle the situation as best as possible. I can see it might be difficult to dream about the future under both a COVID crisis and the current situation in Kenya. But what are your plans for the future for the Alliance? Are there bright plans and hopes for what you want to achieve?
Okay, so we've had these challenges, and now we've had the new normal, and this can really dim someone's hope, but we have the hope that we're going to continue growing in numbers as we have done, as we advance our love and equality ideology. The horizons are very bright, and we are looking forward to having more families, more affirming religious leaders, more activists on board, and endless opportunities for all. Because when we come together, we put our minds together, we can be able to have more ideas and be able to fight queerphobia in a more sensible manner. So our members, currently we have members in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kilifi, and we continue to grow. We continue recruiting people as the day go by. We even have straight allies on board. And so the growth is definitely going to happen, and the growth has actually even happened during the pandemic. So that's very encouraging. We also, we are the first alliance of its kind, and I stand corrected, which sets an example of identifying humanity and universality of human rights. It's very rare that you find affirming religious leaders, and even more rare that you find religious leaders coming together with LGBTIQ plus activists, not just LGBTIQ plus persons, but activists, because in the society we are in, they are viewed as the destroyers, a threat to the family, a threat to the stability of the nation. So it's very rare that you find such an alliance, and I think we offer hope to different identities that, regardless of oppression and people who've been put down and other people who've been uplifted in a system, they can come together. People can use their influence for the betterment of the society. And that this alliance is really a medium of understanding, and the society can come and look up to us and be able to learn on how to correct past ills, for example. And yeah, so we really can say we are role models for the society, even past Kenya and in Africa, where religion has really been used as a form of oppression against queer people, gender minorities, sexual minorities. So to find these people sitting together who've been priorly told you cannot be together because you represent different principles is hopeful, and I think we're going to be replicated in many situations. So I think for the future, it's very bright. So yeah, and also I think it's important that the global platforms established this and continues to be a sponsor of Bridges of Love Alliance, because it does so much for queer people, for advancing human rights and advancing feminism. So that's what I'd say.
Thank you so much. At least there's a bit of hope. Thank you for giving us that. That was my questions for the three of you, and we've received some questions in the chat while you've been speaking, and I don't know if any of you here in the tent have questions for them right now. Not right now. So I'll start with some of the questions we've received in the chat. And maybe, let's see, the first one is how can people in Denmark or other countries support your work, is the question. And I think it's especially relevant now for you to answer now that you're speaking at the Pride here in Denmark. So maybe Sylvia, would you mind giving that a go? How can people in Denmark support your work?
Thank you so much for that question. I think one of the first things that you can do to support our work is follow us on our socials and engage in our socials. We usually have so many engaging activities in regards to live sessions. We usually have webinars that we stream live on our platform. So one of the biggest things that we can do is engage with our work that we are putting out on the social media platforms.
Nice.
What would you like to ask in regards to that?
Yeah, I can add on that. I think for the Alliance to grow, we can use your support in many ways via following. You can also come on board in terms of equipping people with skills so that they can be able to fight better. So maybe if you can bring on board skills that will help the activists and religious leaders, or even financial support, because the more finances we have, I think the more trainings we will be able to have, the more skills we have, and the more projects we do, I think we're going to have a bigger leverage. So maybe you can get in contact with ActionAid in case you want to advance any of those, or anything else you feel like can help these queer activists and religious leaders.
Grace, would you have something to add to that?
Thank you so much. That's a great question. And I would love if you were able to assist ActionAid so that they can put more training, especially for sensitization. So for many religious leaders and the queer community to come together, learn more, and also do more activities, especially they can learn business, about emotional intelligence, how we can relate, and how we can also live with other people, and also about our self-esteem, because mostly the queer community, they feel sorrow because of discrimination. If we are able to get more funding, especially for training, it can really help. And also it can bring people together. Information is power. Once people are so enlightened, they become powerful. And they are also able to say, no, even if I'm this way, I think I should not be discriminated. Once people are empowered and they have information, they know their rights. So even if they are fought, they know how also they can retaliate in a nice way and also win the war together. So training is very, very paramount for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I would like to add to people out there also that that are watching from Denmark, that if you're are interested in supporting the Alliance, please reach out to me and I'll put you in contact. If you're an activist, we can help with that. If you're a religious leader in Denmark wanting to reach out to them, or a business company of any kind, we'll gladly put you in contact and show you how you can support directly. And of course, you can always become a member of ActionAid also to support these kinds of struggles. And thank you all for the question. I have a couple of more questions. This one is for Pastor Grace. A question asking, how have the members of your church reacted to you working with LGBTIQ people?
Thank you. That's a very great question. And it's not an easy journey. Once I started preaching and also talking about the queer rights, somehow people don't take me seriously. Somehow they say, oh, Grace, you are now becoming a sinner and you are really supporting people who are not godly. But I thank God as a trained theologian, when I'm making the sermons, I don't just say straight, it's like this, but I can tailor made and also weave a sermon that this is the love of Jesus is for everyone. So when now I'm giving examples, I'm able to talk about the queer community. But it was not easy for me. The very first days, even coming to global platform, I was saying I'm having meetings somewhere until I said, no, if you want to win war or if you are assisting somebody, it's good to sacrifice. And I became open and it was not taken well, but the journey is there and I'm working and I'm not going to fall back because I've started the journey. And also I know the truth because the love of Jesus is for everyone. If I don't fight from the pulpit, the queer community will be suppressed and people will be thinking, oh my, this is what God wants. Oh my, this is the Bible says ABCD. But sometimes it's good to hit the nail on the head and say, oh, now this is the truth of the matter. Everybody is loved by God. There is some problems in interpretation, and we need to work with everyone. Yes.
Thank
So it
you.
was not taken lightly. It was very tough for me, but I have to fight on.
Thank you for that amazing answer. And more questions are coming in as you speak. I think I'll take the newest one because it builds on what you just talked about. It says, in such a difficult environment, how do you approach people to join the alliance? How do you find people to trust? And maybe Wambua, you can start answering this if you want to.
Okay. So the way the Alliance recruits people to join us in our agenda is by people in the Alliance that know other people outside inviting them. So by invitation, you're able to vet what kind of person that is, because you're dealing with a very sensitive issue, and sometimes maybe you can get an outsider who's just willing to harm the queer community. So the person who recruits this individual knows the person, what the person's principles are, and what is their stand on the queer community. So that's the way we recruit both religious leaders and activists by members in the Alliance going out and recruiting people, and they recruit them into their families, whereby they will be in a closer range and they will be able to welcome them and show them the ways of the Alliance. And we understand that it's very sensitive to just bring people in, especially in a world where, in a country where there are anti-homosexuality laws. So that's the way we go by in bringing new members.
Do any of the two others want to add to that? Thank you for that answer. Sylvia?
Sylvia?
Or Grace? Or maybe thank you.
Yeah, so in regards to, maybe I'll say this and say vetting of new members. When the COVID period started, we agreed to allow people who would like to join the Alliance to participate mainly on our social platforms. And so, because we would like to have that physical training with them, and basically want to know why they would want to join the Alliance, what they know about the Alliance, and who they are as individuals. Because I don't know if Wambua has mentioned this, but we just can't allow anybody who says, I want to join the Alliance, then we say, yes, you can join. Because we are working with queer folk is sensitive in the fact that we cannot allow people who encourage homophobia and negative things that we do not stand for. And so we halted the joining of new members for a bit so that they can engage with our activities and maybe the trainings that we usually have that we stream live on our pages. And so we have that because it's very important that you're very careful with how you approach such things as joining. Because some people can just want to join the alliance because they can see that it's growing and maybe they do not have good intentions for the alliance. And so as of now, that's what we are doing. And so they engage with our social media activities, anything that we, in terms of partnering, we do that before we are able to now meet physically and just basically induct new members.
Thank you so much. Another question says, what activities or tactics have been most effective in changing hearts and minds? And I don't know which of you want to start and trying to answer that one. It's a challenging one.
To start answering this, then maybe Wambua or Grace can go on. And I'm really excited about this question. I'm very, very excited. One of the things that I see has really interested people and actually made people want to join the alliance. After that, we got very many requests. How do we join? What can I do to get involved? And this was the virtual festival. It was such a good time. There was music, as I mentioned earlier, there was poetry, there was spoken word, there was words of the Bible which were shared with our religious leaders, there were yoga sessions, and they were streamed live on our Instagram and Facebook pages, and people really, really enjoyed it. We also recently had a webinar on HIV/AIDS and COVID-19, and the participation was amazing. And the participation was just not numbers, but it was really active. People were engaging and answering questions. And after that, they kept on asking me, Sylvia, how can we be part of this? And also the social media posts that we put on. And I've realized, especially for the Self-Care Saturday and for the Mental Health Mondays, people really find our messages uplifting. And they keep on asking, how is it that we can support or be part of the alliance? And so we realized that even as we customize or think of ideas of new activities, we always look for ideas that are engaging. We try and incorporate a bit of seriousness and a bit of fun. So even if you're having, like, let's say, a webinar on HIV/AIDS, something that we usually, and those ones are usually open. So we ask people to register in advance and they're sent the Zoom link. And for those who are not able to access it on Zoom, it's streamed on Facebook. So we usually start with choose a color that best describes your mood today. And so because we have really customized our activities, and us as a whole, we are very fun and we're also very intentional about the things that we do. And so these are just a few of the things and ways and things that we do that make people really interested to hear about us and to know about the work that we do and possibly then join us.
Thank you. Does any of the two of us want to add something?
Yes.
I think, go ahead, Grace.
Thank you. Sometimes it's good to be sincere. Some of the things that made very many people to want to join Alliance when I talked about it is about the COVID check-in. Sincerely speaking, since we closed the church, nobody has even ever tried to check where their pastors are or where other church members are. But when I think of Alliance, every Saturday they keep checking on us. And not only do we use our money, they always give us airtime so that we can check on each other. That's the love of God. And what also made people want to join Alliance, and since we closed for COVID, churches don't pay pastors anything, and they also don't send tithes. But I thank God for Action Aid through Alliance. They were able to provide food and drink. And mostly they were also able to ask us whether we are so constrained in where we are staying or we have gas or something like that. So the alliance was there for the whole community, unlike the religious setup. They never called anyone, probably one mosque or one church, and they had specific people to give food, and also people who are affiliated or so close to the senior church members. But for Alliance, they were not discriminative. They were able to give food, and they were able to check us even this Saturday. They were able to call every Saturday to know how we are. So that is so godly. So when I shared that with the religious leaders and many people from my church, they say, oh, that organization which can check on people and it is able to give people clothes and food when there is COVID. I think that is the best direction. Yes, they may not join because of the income and all that or what they are getting, but also the alliance has already preached with the wording and with actions, not just preaching with telling people to get saved and you are not assisting them during the time of need. So the people have shared with are really grateful that we were checked and we were fed. Jesus was not only for physical, he was also for spiritual. He gave food for the 5,000 people. With the two fish, he was able to feed the 5,000. So God is physical and spiritual. And that was done so well by Alliance. So many people wanted to go that direction just because of that. They were able to reach, they were also able to follow the biblical application of Jesus is physical and spiritual. So those are the things that made people want to come to Alliance.
Thank you.
I think,
And Wambua?
I think information is the best way to sell the ideology of queer rights matter and queer people are valued. So because most people are just ignorant because they don't know really what it means to be queer. They don't have the information. And when you give the people the information, I think you see them trying to understand it and change their minds or at least give it a thought. Because most people have been supplied with the wrong information when it comes to queer people and queer identities. So information in whichever sense, maybe via entertainment, be it via music or videos, movies. So I think that's a great way of selling information that has to do with queerness. And I think for a number of people in the Alliance, they've been able to understand queer identities, what it means to be a sexual minority, to be a gender minority more by the information that has been given to them. So when they get the information, they're able to approach it differently from when they're just told by their religious leaders or political leaders, being gay is wrong, being lesbian is wrong, it's not real, it's a phase, or maybe transgender people are going through a crisis, an identity crisis. So when they are given the information, they're able to make better decisions and they can be able to be moved to be better people when it comes to queerness, maybe be better allies or move from being opposers to being people who support the community. And I also think the reason why people have been attracted to the Alliance is because of their togetherness and the uniqueness that it has, and also the fact that people are really committed to what they are doing and people are passionate, and many people have lived lives that have been brought down because of queerphobia, and so they really have so much passion. And when you see the passion in that person, you also want to be on board as regards what they are doing.
Thank you. And I have a last question from out there in the world, and while you answer that, if there's any more questions, people sitting out there watching that want to ask more questions, please write them in the chat while the last question here is answered. And that question is probably from a neighboring country, or at least somebody in the same context as you are. They are asking, what type of training was the most valuable for you? So an answer from each of you about what type of training was the most valuable for an ally in a similar context that yours that might want to try and achieve something similar?
Oh, it would be so hard to say the most important one because every training has been so unique and it has brought us skills that maybe we didn't have or we had or it's been better now because we've gone through the training. I haven't been in the Alliance for so long, but I really appreciate the entrepreneurship training because it's better to teach people how to catch fish, especially when you are dealing with the queer community in Kenya, whereby there are systemic issues that make them not be able to be as active economically, but say they are not able to access health services as good as the way the heterosexual people are able to access because of the Section 162 and 165 of the Constitution that people that is anti-homosexuality. So when you help these jeopardize, certainly you can't be so economically productive. So I think that has been really important and really empowering people, queer people who some can't even get jobs so easily. Unemployment is already at 18% in Kenya. And so you bring in other issues such as you're queer and you go on an interview and clearly there is overt discrimination. It's not even being hidden and people just believe queer people just need to be disintegrated from the society. And when they're empowered economically and by the money they have, they will get from this. In a capitalist economy, it gives you a confidence and you are able to stand up for your rights more and you're able to value yourself because it's unfortunate that how empowered you are economically translates to a better life, more self-awareness. It's unfortunate, but now that we have this training, we're able to move in the world more smartly. I'd also say the training on advocacy was important because now we are able to bring people on board. We're able to move people across the spectrum of allyship from opposers to maybe neutral people. And I've also been in a sexual harassment training, which is very important, especially in this world today. What passes as sexual harassment to me, to someone else, they might be totally deaf to it and they might do it. So when you're informed about what is sexual harassment, what is consent, you're able to move more smartly in this world, especially where you're discriminated and sexual and gender minorities have high rates of sexual harassment. And when they're able to establish that when someone does this, when someone doesn't ask consent, this is sexual harassment, they're able to protect themselves. They're able to protect their health, to protect their emotional well-being, physical well-being, psychological well-being. So those are the trainings that have been there for. I wouldn't say one is more important than the other. Unfortunately, as I said, entrepreneurship was really important, but all of them are really important. So that's what I'd say. So maybe if someone is planning to do a training, maybe a one that has economic impact, then would be a top priority and maybe infuse other things that you would like them to know.
Thank you. And the most important training for either you, Sylvia, or Grace?
So on my end, I actually share the trainings that Wambua really enjoyed are just the same as mine. But I'd like to add on to what he said about the economic training. We have just recently concluded it just this week, and it was really important. As Wambua said, you teach someone to fish. You do not give someone a fish because you have to keep on feeding them every day. And this training was very important. It was very insightful for me, and I specifically enjoyed the bit where we learned about branding and marketing. Because in this age, as queer people, we do not have as many opportunities. We are not as privileged to have as many opportunities. Society does not allow us to freely have opportunities that we're actually deserving of. So this training on, because you can teach advocacy, which is very important and which I really appreciate. We also learned about self-defense, but the economic training And basically, financial discipline is very important because it teaches us as queer persons and even as people who are doing organizing. And you never know, if organizing is something that we give so much of ourselves, and being able to sort of start a business or something like that is in a way giving back to ourselves. And so it is very important. It is highly recommended for anyone who has a sort of movement and is looking for trainings to give the members. That is very important. And also we had the self-defense training, which was very important. We learned how to basically, when we get circumstances where we have to physically defend ourselves, we learned that. We learned about the different levels of power that exist outside here. We learned about allyship in regards to the advocacy. We had a whole spectrum and we were being taught how to move the different groups to the positive side so that they end up actually in helping us in the fight for access of basic human rights of queer persons. But yes, I will insist, as Wambua said, that the economic training made so much impact to me, and I would strongly advise everybody to, if possible, to give people this sort of training.
Thank you. And Pastor Grace, do you have something to add?
Yeah, let me add something. And out of the training, at least I captured four which were very, very touching. One is about campaigns, how you can monitor your enemies and how you can bring people who are not undecided to your camp. So the act of campaigning helped me also to do evangelization, because I already understand these people want to be Christians, and if I want to talk about queer community, people who are kabisa, they don't want that. Those are somehow I monitor them, but people who really want to understand that and know who the community is, I'm able to bring them to my camp, and we are able now to preach, and also they are able to, when I go to for the cut session, they are able to support me and say, Pastor, let us now make programs for the queer community in the church. So the art of campaigning really helps me. I also write the part of security, how you can go to the airport and your bags you don't just give to everyone. And especially when you are talking on the laptop, you are given a gadget so that people cannot see you. So we learned about how we can secure ourselves, how we can work together, and when we hear police are rushing and want to beat people, how to go about it. So security was very good. I also write the area which was taught about the scripture interpretation. It was the very first one when we came to GP. We are able to expound on the verses of the Bible like Sodom and Gomorrah. Where did the text come from? Is it true? Why is it there? So religious leaders were able to understand some of these texts were just there because of interpretation or printing, and they were carried from a certain area and brought there because of some reasons. That one opened our minds, especially religious leaders. The other one is about organization. It's all about organization. That one was also very good. How to get organized, you organize yourself. It was very good. And also the fourth one is about entrepreneurship. That one was very good, especially the teaching and also making business plans and also becoming accountants overnight and also cash flow projections, and it was good. So the four trainings were good among them, but everything we have been doing in the ActionAid global platform is so good, and especially coming here in the platform itself, not even online. We are able to mingle well. We are able to understand diversity. We are able to understand each other well. We even do games together, and we just say, oh, so we are not different, we are the same. So it's not about age, it's not about gender, we are all equal. So I've enjoyed everything here in GP, and I look forward to having more activities in future and having more people to join us, and more trainers, even from outside, to come, so that information is power. We get to know so many things, and we are able to share it with other people. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that great answer. And I would just want to say to all the people watching out there that if you are interested in joining the Bridges of Love Alliance or establishing your own chapter out there in the world, especially in East Africa or, I mean, anywhere else around the globe, please reach out to me, and I'll bring you in contact with these amazing people and help you establish your own chapter wherever you're based. So just a recommendation for all of you out there. And we are out of questions and we're out of time, so I just want to thank everybody watching out there for staying on and asking great questions. And it's truly been an honor to be allowed to facilitate for the three of you. Thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be with you, either online or in person. Do you want to say a last word to our viewers out there?
We love you so much. Thank you so much for listening to us. Because if it were not for you, we could not have facilitated. We thank God for giving us an opportunity even to share knowledge. And we thank God that we are also able to get so many questions. We have also learned a lot. Thank you so much. And we look forward to meeting you again through posters, writings, journals, catalogs, libraries, and you are amazing, you are amazing, you are amazing. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.
Okay. So I think I'll go ahead. Thank you so much for this forum. As a queer person and someone who faces discrimination in many levels, almost, I think, every day of my life, I really appreciate when people come together to talk about queerness, because talking about it is the first step. When people come forward to affirm queer people and tell them that they are valid, and they don't need to rely on any societal norm to be valid and to exist in this world, because it's very hard. It's very hard when the government drags you down, and when you face discrimination, even in the society among your peers. It's very hard. So I really appreciate that there are efforts to tell queer stories, improve queer lives. And thank you so much for the audience that was listening to us. I hope it impacted you in a positive way. Please come and follow us on our social media and just look at how you can collaborate with us in anything. You might feel like it's small, but really it's not small, it's impactful. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, actually, Denmark and Oliver. Thank you, Sylvia.
So for me, this has been a very emotional experience because as a queer single mother, especially living in Kenya, there are so many opportunities that we do not get to partake of. And so for me, this has been, I feel like I've really grown in my activism and in my organizing. And today, just even before I go to this session, I was just reflecting on my journey and I was giving myself so many props. I am so proud of myself and how far I've come and how far the Alliance has come, that we are actually in such a platform. This is very amazing. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for allowing us as queer persons to be able to share our stories with our words through our eyes, because we are the best people in this journey to be able to tell this story, instead of somebody coming and just writing what they know about the Alliance and not being members of the Alliance. And so thank you so much. Please follow our social media platforms, engage with our work, follow our self-care Saturday segments, share with us what you do for self-care, share, enjoy our different themes that we have on our social media platforms. And thank you so much for taking this time to even ask questions. It shows that you have interest, which is very amazing. And I like the thought of having different chapters of Bridges of Love Alliance in different parts of the world. Something so small, a small seed, can actually grow up and be something so big. And to think that we are the pioneers of this is amazing. Wambua and Grace and everybody from Bridges of Love Alliance, good job. I'm very proud of what we are doing.
Thank you so much for those goodbyes. And again, it's been an honor to be allowed to be here with you. Thank you to all of you out there asking questions and watching, and to all of you here in the tent. We'll see you around, and please reach out if you are in need of any support or want to provide support for all of these amazing people. Goodbye.
Bye.